Hey guys, I'm Nathan from Arms and Armor. You know, it's pretty rare that there are actually realistic weapons in video games. So me and a couple guys at the shop were pretty excited when Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 just came out, in part because of how realistic the arms and armor in the game are. So today, I want to take a look at a few swords that we make that are very historically accurate, that are similar to some ones in the game. Stay tuned. So, this game is hard, but it's beautiful and it's fun. But the different swords that you can get include a hunting sword, various arming swords, and long swords that have different qualities, as well as a baselard that you can buy. So hunting swords are actually rather later than the time period where the game is set. So I'm not going to look at any of those. But I do want to look at a baselard, an arming sword, and a longsword, and talk about what these swords are really like. So this is an arming sword, or a knightly sword. This is a one-handed sword for fighting in armor. This is a replica of this sword of Henry V that we make. You can see that it's got a nice disc pommel that's relatively hefty, these upturned quillins, and a blade that comes to a very acute point. And this is a fairly stiff blade, but fighting with this sword, you would probably have a shield if you were in armor, and there's all kinds of winding techniques that you can use with it. This is quite a maneuverable sword for a one-hander, mostly because if you're fighting other armored men, you really need a lot of point control. Right, so slashing at someone in armor does essentially nothing to them. But if you can get the point into their mail or into the gaps in their eyes or their groin, right, you can kill them. If you're fighting someone who is lightly armored or unarmored, this will definitely, it'll take someone's head clean off. So it weighs about 2 pounds, much of which is back here in the pommel, which makes this thing move really nicely. So a one-handed sword like this one is really a sword for war, right? It's not something that you would just probably walk around with, but it's a knightly sword, one for someone of a warrior rank to use for warrior purposes. Next, got this little Swiss baselard. This is a custom piece that I made that has a wooden grip. You can see the peen here, so the tang comes all the way through that, and it has steel caps on the ends of the grip. You can see it's this typical eye shape, which is really the way that baselards are usually shaped. This baselard only weighs a pound, right? It's very light weight sword, and it's something that would be a sidearm, and it's light enough that you could actually wear it for kind of everyday wear if you were of a class and in a place where you were allowed to wear a sword. There were a lot of places, cities, where you were not allowed to wear a sword, but this one actually wear, for various kinds of reenactment. If I'm working at the Ren Fair or something like that, mostly because it's so lightweight, it doesn't get in the way. It's not too long, right? But, so this is probably, maybe 30 inches long total. It is extremely wieldy, and this is a weapon that you can get in the game. It's a pretty cool piece. Finally, a longsword. This is our Towton longsword, which is named after the Battle of Towton. It happened about 15 years after the game is set. This sword is really from the height of the period of longsword fighting, the style of fighting that they're trying to emulate in the game, which is essentially the German longsword fighting tradition of Johannes Lichtenauer. who was a fencing master of the 14th century. There are a whole bunch of fighting manuals from really mostly the 15th, 16th, 17th centuries that describe how to fight with these weapons with complex Meisterhaus, right, which are master strokes that Lichtenauer lays out as the secret to essentially the art of fighting with these weapons. So this sword weighs closer to 3 pounds. It's got a little more blade presence to it. You have both hands on the hilt. You can use it in one hand, but if you're on foot, you probably want to use it in two, because many of the master strikes, right, like the Schwerkau, right, or Schielhau, are strikes that require you essentially to have two hands on the blade in order to maneuver and move it and bind with it in a way that fits with that fighting style. So check out our website if you're playing the game and you're wondering, what's that weapon really like? Right? You can look at some of our other videos, probably do some more in the future, looking at their impact weapons and their pole arms and how they compare to the historical ones. All right, take care. Don't forget to save a lot. The game's hard. All right, bye-bye.